Welcome. I am author D.M. Patterson, and this is going to be a slightly different video. Today I had my 6-week checkup appointment. I had a hysterectomy 6 weeks ago, and I have talked a little bit about my miscarriage and how that affected my health, but I am thinking about talking a little bit more about my journey with endometriosis and the things that led me to this very difficult decision. But I really wanted to do this video today to capture the emotions and how I felt before it kind of ebbed a little bit. What happened was today was supposed to be my 6 weeks checkup with the doctor who actually performed the surgery, but she was unable to make it due to circumstances outside of her control. And I was given to a different doctor so that he could tell me whether I could go back to my normal activities. And because I've been wanting to get back in the pool and I've wanted to start easing into working out more, I didn't want to reschedule the appointment. So I went in today with a little bit of trepidation because it's been a very long journey, to say the least. But I have dealt with the monster of endometriosis for about 25 years now. And I was able to have a daughter, and everything with her birth and everything went well. But a few years later, in 2018, I did have a miscarriage, and that affected my health greatly. What happened afterwards was years of dealing with bad health and me having to come to the decision where what was going to get me on a more healthy path was more important than trying for more children. This is something that I have talked about briefly on my channel. I have been writing about it, and I even read one of my poems that I wrote about one of the appointments that I had right after my miscarriage on my channel. And I began to open up a little bit about how the medical field was just, it was lacking. It was not helping me. I did not find the right person to help me for a very long time. What I want to say in this video to make what happened in this appointment really sing for you the way it did for me is we as a society, as a culture, have been ingrained to be okay with having opinions about other people's reproduction. And it is something that I found very frustrating before any of my own journey happened, but after my miscarriage, I would have people telling me, oh, you have one child? Well, when are you going to have the next child? And when is the next one coming? And she needs a sibling, and it's about time for her to have a sibling. And not knowing when they were saying things like that, how hurtful it was for me, who had just gone through a terrible loss and who was dealing with my body rejecting something traumatic that happened. And I got to the point where I would say, well, I had a miscarriage and my body's not happy with me right now, so she's probably not going to have a sibling, because I was really tired of people telling me that it was time for me to have another child. It's not their place to say anything and judge anything about what is going on with the family. And especially when their words can bring up something very difficult and very hard. I know not everyone who has had miscarriages is willing to say things like that. They don't want to bring it up and they don't want to talk about it. But I just came to a point where I was so sick of people telling me that I was supposed to have another sibling for my daughter that I began telling them why they needed to keep their mouth shut. First of all, it's none of their business. It's amazing how the people who have had opinions about my family and how many children I should have are people who were complete strangers to me and really had no idea what my family was, what my journey was, things that were happening to me, but they were comfortable with telling me that I should have another child. It is beyond me how anyone can be comfortable with saying things like that. And I really wish, as a society, as a culture, people would stop feeling comfortable having any kind of judgment or opinion on somebody's family. Because it's not any of their business, but also saying something like that can be very triggering, and especially for somebody like me who dealt with a loss. And the reason why there was only one child was because I lost the other one, and then my health could not sustain another pregnancy. But it doesn't even have to be that reason. It doesn't matter what the reason is, it needs to be respected. I was told across multiple disciplines that I would regret not having another child. I would change my mind and I should wait to have a hysterectomy. I had an endocrinologist run blood tests because he assumed that I would change my mind. So on top of running into strangers who felt like they had a say in what my family was supposed to look like, I had multiple doctors telling me that settling with just one child and making a decision that would end my chances of having any other would be something I would regret. But even though I'm not the only one, it still feels very alienating. The way that doctors can talk to you, the way that even strangers, sometimes even it's family members or coworkers, can talk to you about something so personal, it can feel so alienating. It can feel like I am no longer a person who can make informed decisions. I did not feel confident in who I was and my decisions. I did not feel listened to. I did not feel seen, because if the person telling me that I was going to regret it really did take the time to understand my journey, they would not be saying that. Instead, I was made to feel selfish, and I was made to feel like I wasn't trying hard enough. I was made to feel like I didn't have a strong character, and I apparently wasn't someone to be trusted. So even though the statistics will tell you that miscarriages happen at a very high percentage, the journey itself can be so alienating. I felt like I was somebody who did not deserve respect. I was a shell. I felt no strength, because everywhere I turned, I had people telling me that my decisions were incorrect. And clearly, whatever was going on with me physically and in my health was something that I could overcome easily enough to just have another baby. And while I know it is very possible, that was not true for me. It was not something that I experienced with my health and with my journey. But this video isn't completely about my journey and all of that. I just wanted to give some background where I'm coming into this appointment after years of being very disrespected, not only by the medical field, but by a lot of people around me. And I want to say, I very much want to say that my family, my husband, I have some very close friends who were not disrespecting me. But when you are dealing with a health crisis and the health field is not on your side, it's very, very difficult to move past that, and it really messes with your mind. So fast forward years after my miscarriage and years of being tossed around in the health field, years of trying different birth controls and different medicines and different ways to manage my endometriosis, and even trying again for another child, I came to my OB, who did end up doing the surgery. We had a history together. I knew who she was. She knew a little bit about my past. It was a great appointment. And I do want to talk a little bit more about her and how her support for me was wonderful. As I had gone through all of this and came to this decision and wanted it for myself, she was very supportive. And medically, she also said, yes, she agreed, it was a good idea. I had done everything I could, and this was the next step. But she wasn't able to be there for this 6-week checkup. And I had some anxiety this morning. It was a little triggering because I didn't know who I was going to see, and I did not want to be treated badly. I do have I have some anxiety now when I see new doctors, when I try to talk about new medical things, or even past medical things. If I don't know the doctor, it's very hard for me to see somebody new, or somebody that I hadn't seen in a long time, because of how I've been treated. But and yes, he was a male, he came in, and he was very kind, and we talked about if there had any issues and things like that. What does care from here on out look like? He did examine me. He said everything looked great. He was very open and willing to talk about questions that I had. He was very patient. He was very there and in the room, if that makes any sense. Sometimes I've been with doctors where I felt like they just wanted to be anywhere else. And when you are trying to talk about something that is very difficult, you definitely do not want to be talking to somebody who looks like they would rather be anywhere else. So he was there, he was present, he was wonderful, he was kind. And then at the very, very, very end, he was leaving, and I was watching him leave because I wanted to hop off the thing and get dressed and get out of there. I could see this, he made this mental decision to stop. And he turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Congratulations." And he smiled. And then he left. And why that makes me cry, why that makes me feel so emotional, is I feel like what he was acknowledging was my decision and my journey. And I made it through to the other side. And even though it required surgery and time to recover, and I still have a while before I can get back to, really exercising, really putting a lot of effort into losing weight and things like that. I still have a while before I can do that. But to be so seen, to be acknowledged, to be recognized, and to have something so positive said to me, especially for a male OBGYN, to acknowledge that my decision was what I wanted and it was the right decision for my health. I do want to say that I have family and friends and my husband who have been supporting me during this time. I'm not alone. I haven't been completely alone. But to hear a congratulations from somebody in the health field, in a field where babies and reproduction and family are all they talk about, and we as a society we're programmed to say congratulations about another baby, and it's all about giving birth, and for an OBGYN it's all about being there when they're born, and it's a wonderful time, and it really is something to be celebrated, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. But for him to have the mindset and the ability to stop and acknowledge that a hysterectomy is something to celebrate too, for me and for my journey, after being told so many times by so many people that it would be something I would regret. I in no way want to belittle the many other reasons and situations and circumstances that lead to hysterectomies. There are some incredibly sorrowful and difficult situations that lead to something like this, and I want you to be validated and seen as well. I know that not everyone reaches the point of wanting a hysterectomy to be free from endometriosis, and I know I'm one of the lucky ones who have dealt with this and was able to also have a child, and I do not take that for granted, and I'm so grateful that I could have her, and she has definitely been part of the reason why I continued pushing forward, and the reason why I continued to want to reach a point where I could be healthy and functional so I could be there for her. Everything I brought up can lead to far more videos, long videos, talking about the journey itself, talking about the decision, talking about my miscarriage, what happened after my miscarriage. I don't really want to go into all of that right now. I did bring it all up to give you some context so that you could understand why this moment was so beautiful and emotional for me today. And I wanted to go ahead and video this and get this out while it was still fresh in my mind and while I could still feel it. I have no idea how much I want to go into with this channel. This is about writing and writing tips and literature. I do go into it a little bit in the context of my writing and how I'm processing it through writing. So I don't know how many more videos there are going to be just about me talking about this in no context of writing or literature. I do very much think that writing is important when it comes to trying to sort out your feelings, trying to deal with a trauma, to heal from something difficult that happens. I think writing can be a very, very important tool. You definitely do not have to start a YouTube channel and read it if you don't want to. So as the context of me continuing to write about the journey that I went through and reading it here and talking about the writing process of it, yes, you will probably hear more of it. But as far as just a plain video where I'm talking about what happened in my journey without any other context, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do that here. This isn't really the point of my channel. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I want to say a huge thank you to those of you who have been there for me and supported me, my friends and family, my husband, and my daughter. Even though she's young and she doesn't understand, she has been an incredible help to me in her own very special way. I'm going to end for real by saying, keep going. Keep going on your journey, even if you feel alienated. Keep going. Reach out if you need to. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Bring that confidence back. You are strong. You are worth it. Keep going.